Well, I knew him so he was a year younger than me, so he started my sophomore year. I met him through music, you know, playing in worship community, playing in Powerhouse. Well, at that time he was only in worship community, but he immediately caught everyone's attention just because of how good he was at his instrument, right? And little did we know that when he got here, he was also just an amazing dude. I mean, he was humble, you know. He was not afraid to show people love, like even if he didn't know them. Yeah. He was a great kid, and this kind of thing it sucks. Like, it's hard that it happened to someone who was so good, I guess, so kind, so loving towards everybody. Yeah. We picked, well, two of the songs we picked because his roommates told us that there were songs he loved to play or to sing to. One of the songs we picked because in one of the chapels that I played with him in, he played violin to it and he loved it. That song, it just talks about showing the world like the light of Christ, and that is exactly what Ethan did, like all the time. Like whether it was through music or his personality or, you know, he constantly showed people the love of Christ, consciously, unconsciously. And so that second song, like, I know when we're singing it, I'm gonna cry because it's about him. Like, it may not have been written for him, but he acted in a true Christ-like manner all the time, like no matter who was watching. And yeah, so I don't know how he'd feel. I think he'd want to be playing, you know? I think it was denial, honestly. I mean, my first thought was probably, why would something like this happen to someone like him? He was just a kid that did everything like so humbly and so happily and so lovingly. So when I heard that had happened to him, I didn't actually know how to feel or what to think, because I mean, even now I still don't understand why, you know. It makes no sense that someone like him would have to go and like away like that. Honestly, I think he would want the love and the light of Christ to be shown through this somehow. I don't know how that's gonna happen yet, but I mean, just thinking about the way he lived and the kindness he had in his heart, I think that's how he would want us to handle this situation. It might be tragic, but you know, I think God's love and the love of God that Ethan showed is stronger than what happened to him. It's stronger than death. I think Ethan showed that in his life. Well, first off, like I just want to thank like the faculty for doing something like the memorial service we're about to have. Like when people found out, immediately the college was just like, we need to respond to this because this is something that's gonna affect, you know, everybody. And immediately all my friends went into prayer, especially for his family, because a lot of us were connected to Ethan, but not necessarily connected to his family. So we just went into prayer for that. Yeah, grief. I know there were a lot of tears shed. A really good friend called me and she was just crying because they had gotten really close. But I think altogether Messiah community has come together well, you know. I think that's one thing I loved about being a Messiah student is that it's different than other places. Like we come together when things get crazy, when things get hard. Even when things aren't that way, we still come together, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a great it's a great thing about this campus. It's different, you know.
Somebody that I was friends with, always super kind, and somebody that was always like super excited to see you, always very sweet and just very genuine. Had a great relationship with everybody, and yeah, just a really cool and kind individual all around. It's difficult for everybody, definitely, to, you know, just try to come to terms with the fact that a friend would have to go through something like this, and the fact that their family now has to deal with this situation is extremely difficult. I think kind of like SD had said, it's an event that gives the Messiah community a chance to come together and just acknowledge the whole situation in a way that lets them, I don't know, find a way to process it, talk with each other about it, pray, and yeah, just deal with it in a way that they're surrounded by people who all had a relationship with Ethan. There's one line in the song, For the one of the songs that we're playing, talking about how just when somebody sees the smile of a believer that they would feel the Father's love, and I think that's a song that reflects Ethan so perfectly. He was somebody that just, with that positive and genuine spirit, you would just feel God's love from interacting with him. So that song is definitely one that applies to his personality and who he was. I mean, I looked just even at the Powerhouse schedule, and he was supposed to be on next week. It's just something that I think the team will have to come together and acknowledge it and pay their respects in a way that, you know, you wish he could be there, but you play in a way as if he can hear, or as if he was there, you know, because I'm sure he would want us to play in a way that is joyful, because that's how he always played as well.
How will you guys remember him going forward?
I think we'll remember him as he always was. Kind of like I said earlier, he's just somebody that was so caring and positive, and you'll always, you know, feel for his family in a way that you can't even express how sorry you are for them. So it's awful that you have to think back on your memory of Ethan in this way, but all of the positive memories before that are, I think, how people will truly remember Ethan. I think, I mean, all of the Powerhouses that I played with him, I would always just absolutely crack up because he never needed music. He was somebody that could just show up, he could come as late as he wanted, and he could play the songs without anything in front of him, and it was completely perfect because he was just that talented, and he had such an ear for music and just so skilled. So just always, yeah, I always just got a kick out of that because he was so talented. So yeah, just those memories of being with him on team and just enjoying his like amazing musicianship, for sure. I think just seeing the way that he interacted with others is a way like that inspired other people to want to act in a similar way, and it was the love of Christ that would show through him. But he was someone that when you would speak to him and interact with him, you would just think like, he's somebody that I want to be like, just in the care that they show for others and in the way that they treat people.
Ethan was a good guy. So last year he lived in the apartment above and across the hall from me. And I could probably can't count how many times I've just heard him laughing upstairs with his guys and playing the violin and just jamming out. And he was always there to give a smile to people. I think it's one of those things that you just don't believe until, you know, I heard it from one of my friends first. Just got a text message, and then I was like, oh, can't be the right Ethan, you know what I mean? So instantly just like looked up for an article and was like, wow, it really, you know, it really is him. So it just kind of put me in a state of disbelief. Probably just his big smile and his big hug. He's a big hug guy. Any of his friends, and he's always there. If you needed a smile, you could always tell, kind of pick apart if someone's having a bad day. Just walking across campus, he just greets everybody. If you make eye contact with him, he's probably going to say hi to you. I mean, I think it's going to be different, but I think we could all probably say that Ethan's upstairs playing with us. We just can't hear him as much. I think it'll be hard for a lot of people just to hear so much of what was a part of his life and have him not be here. I just honestly listened to a lot of his videos of him playing violin, and just thinking about last year we had a karaoke night, and just thinking about him belting out some fun songs.
Ethan was a force. He had so much personality, so much, feels ironic to say now, but so much life about him, you know. I think of, I was his advisor, and I had him in orchestra, I had him in various classes, and he had this big booming voice, you know, and every day I would see him, and he would stop me and say, "Hello, sir," and give you a big handshake and look you in the eye, and he was just a lot of verve to him, and that's something I really associate with Ethan. Yeah, he was very talented. You know, I think when I'm talking to the students, I'm going to mention about, you know, I always think of his audition for the department. He was a violin major, he's a commercial music major, and he came in, was playing a classical piece, and I remember he was playing it, and it was good. You know, it was very good. It was clear that he could really play the violin well, but he was kind of tense, a little nervous, which you kind of see in auditions. So it's not too shocking. But I was sitting there with my colleague Peter Sorotin, concertmaster of the Harrisburg Symphony, and our violin professor here, and we were listening to him, and he stopped, and Peter said, "So, Ethan, do you like this piece?" He said, "Yeah, I like this. That's fine." And he said, "Well, what kind of music do you listen to?" "Well, I really like fiddle music." I said, why don't you play something for us?" And he just rips out this, I think it was Orange Blossom Special or some like standard fiddle tune, and he just opens up, and it's just this amazing fire, you know, to his playing, and he could improvise like that, which is unusual skill for a violinist. But he could also read. He could, you know, he was a terrific orchestra player. He could do a lot of different things, and he was quick to serve anybody with his music. You know, with worship on campus, with playing the orchestra, with playing on other students' recitals. We had a Arts Invasion Day on campus last week where students went around campus and were playing everywhere, and there was Ethan, of course, playing. He was just a very giving, very talented young man. And he's not going to be there for what we thought would be his last orchestra concert this week, and we're going to leave an empty chair for him on the stage. And that's a whole. It begins a process. It begins a process of really coming to terms with a loss, coming to terms with not having this friend among us anymore. I think music gives space for you to feel things that are too difficult to put words to, especially right now. And I think this will be the start of that process for us. Well, I work mostly with music students, and so we're practicing, we're playing, we're performing, and so I'm just going to tell them to make music, make it big, make it beautiful, and make it generous.